Overreaction Monday.
All right.
Are you
let's
ready?
Get to it. Yep.
I'm going to give Ben some bold statements, and he's going to tell me whether it's an overreaction or not. So let's get started with our first one. Pete Alonso will lead Major League Baseball in home runs this season.
Ooh. So Max Muncy over the weekend has
current leader
taken the crown there as of right now. Alonso was kind of holding down that spot for a while, and then Max Muncy went on a stretch where 10 of his last 14 hits were home runs.
So hot right now.
10 of his last 14 hits went for homers. That is insane. So basically, it's not like they're far apart. Basically, this question becomes, do I think Pete Alonso can hit more homers than Max Muncy for the rest of the year? And everybody else. So like I'm not gonna say because Max Muncy's in the lead right now that means like he has this extreme advantage. So Pete Alonso has more home runs than the Washington Nationals so far this year, which is a great fact. So here's why I say this is not an overreaction.
Okay. Pete
Alonso, since he came into the league in 2019, the year he hit 53 home runs. Came into the league in 2019. Since that, he has 156 home runs, and that is the most home runs in baseball in that span. Considering that the 2020 season was shortened due to COVID, that number is insane to me. 156 homers since 2019, one of those seasons being under a half of a season, which is just wild. He reached 100 home runs in 347 games, which is the fastest in history. So I believe in Pete to keep doing what Pete does. Like, is he the best hitter in baseball? No, I wouldn't say so, but I do believe he is the best power hitter that the game has. And so for that reason, I'm not saying that's an overreaction. I say that is true. He can get it done. Another thing that I think is wild, Alex, this is only his 5th season, and he already ranks 7th all-time in home runs for the New York Mets.
Whoa.
Isn't that nuts?
I mean, it's the Mets. So, the Mets met.
What does that mean?
The Mets met. So, but they're changing.
But
they're changing.
But they have a deep
history.
Yeah. So to hear that he's already 7th is just
wild. It's impressive.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch.
All right, not an overreaction.
Okay, let's keep talking about home runs.
Okay.
For our next overreaction. The Rays will hit a home run in 162 games this season.
The Tampa Bay Rays have hit a home run in every single game this year.
Yep.
Which is every time they hit a homer to start the year, every time they do it in a game, it breaks their own record. They now have the longest stretch of consecutive games to start a season with a home run. For those wondering, by the way, the all-time record is 31, not just to start a year. The record of consecutive games with a home run is 31. So with all of that said, I am going to say this is absolutely not an overreaction. The Rays are going to hit a home run in 162 games this year. There's no doubt about it. They're just on another planet right now. It's awesome.
Is that serious? You believe they'll do it?
I mean, no, they're not going to hit no, they're not going to hit a home run in every game this year. But it's not an overreaction to think that, who's going to bet it? They're on pace to do it.
If anyone can do it.
Not an overreaction. Rays are going to hit 400 homers this year.
Okay.
And they're going to hit one in every game.
I'm into it.
No, I really do think, they're what? They're a week away from tying the all-time record. I think they can do it. And they're not like they're doing what they're doing now without there being a guy on the team that's going to hit 40 homers. I bet we're going to look back on this year and not a single Tampa Bay Rays player will hit 40, but they're just all like consistently playing good baseball right now.
But the team will like lead home runs as like team home runs. You think that? Like the team as a whole will hit the most home runs? There's so many different ways you can go with this. But the main question was.
Yeah, that's definitely not an overreaction.
Yeah.
The Rays are never going to play another game in the history of their franchise without hitting a home run. No doubt. No doubt. Not an overreaction.
Yes, a little bit. All right, let's move on to our next overreaction.
Okay.
The Astros. They're all the way back, baby.
Oh, they're back. That's not an overreaction.
All right.
Look, this is why I said the Houston Astros are going to win the World Series this year. I had the Astros over the Braves, and the Astros swept the Braves over the weekend. And I had the Astros at the Braves as the number one team in my power rankings in a week where the Astros, for the first time in a long time, fell out of the top 10 because they needed to fall out of the top 10. Do I believe that they weren't a top 10 most talented team in baseball? Of course not, but they weren't playing good baseball. That all turned around. They go play the Braves, who I believe are the best team in the National League, sweep them. They're playing great. I never doubted the Astros. And if anybody ever did, then you haven't been watching over the last couple of years, where the Astros are what's the word I'm looking for? They have a tendency to get off to slow starts.
Okay.
Right?
So you're not surprised.
Before. Yeah, I'm not surprised. There's a word that I was looking for. They're no stranger.
Okay.
They're no stranger to getting off to a slow start. I knew I'd get to it. So am I going to overreact at 20 games of a season? Of course not. And they are back. They're playing like I expected them to, and they're only going to continue to get better. So they swept the Braves in a series on the road. They beat the Blue Jays, who I have to win the AL East in a series. So 5-1 on the week against two top-tier teams. Michael Brantley started his rehab assignment. Of course, got a hit in his first at-bat on the rehab assignment. He'll be back. They don't have Jose Altuve right now. This is exactly what I expected the Astros to do. You figure it out in a week where you kind of got to step up, right? The second the doubt starts being entered in people's minds, and then you face two opponents in a week like the Blue Jays and the Braves, there's no doubt the Astros were going to show up. This is exactly why I picked them to win the World Series this year. They are just that good. They are so back. They're back.
All right. Time for our next overreaction.
Okay.
The Cubs' non-perfect game was the craziest ending to a no-hitter we have ever seen.
Drew Smyly over the weekend took a perfect game into the 8th inning. We got that close to seeing the first perfect game since Felix Hernandez. And then an absolute rocket off the bat that went about 15 inches. A swinging bunt down the third baseline brings this all to an end. But it wasn't just the swinging bunt. It was Drew Smyly running over to the line to barehand, turn, and throw. And the catcher, Yan Gomes, running to the third baseline and going to barehand and turn and throw. And Smyly getting the ball and them colliding on the third baseline. It basically looked like Yan Gomes was trying to sabotage the perfect game and was saying, no, and went and turned into Ray Lewis and tackled him onto the ground, thus bringing an end to a perfect game in what was one of the most insane endings that you can ever see to a perfect game.
It was heartbreaking. It was jaw-dropping. It was weird. It was unfortunate. It was sad. It was like, WTF is happening right now? Like, I think I hit almost every emotion watching. I laughed. I felt sad. It was just so weird.
It was.
It was so weird.
So let me get back to the question.
Okay.
I am going to say, after all of that this is definitely an overreaction.
What?
This is not the craziest ending. For the craziest ending, let me take you back to June 2nd, 2010. I was sitting on my couch. I remember it like it was yesterday. And a ground ball was hit to first baseman with 26 outs, 2 outs in the 9th inning. Ground ball hit to Miguel Cabrera. He backhands the ball. He throws to Armando Galarraga. The out is got at first base. He beats the runner by a step and a half, and Jim Joyce calls him safe. And this was before instant replay, so you couldn't review it. The perfect game that was perfect was incorrectly called, and the runner was given a hit. The perfect game, the no-hitter, came to an end, and it was the most heartbreaking thing that I think I have ever seen. I was sitting on my couch in tears. I could not believe it. Jim Joyce made the wrong call. It wasn't even close. It was heartbreaking. This is definitely the craziest, worst, awful ending to a perfect game in history. Miguel Cabrera was celebrating. Armando Galarraga was celebrating. He made the wrong call.
It was obvious.
And this is the call that ultimately led to Major League Baseball getting instant replay, because you got to be able to fix this. Things like that can't happen. But in the record books, it does not go down as a perfect game. But in my heart, it will forever be the perfect game that was not.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. That was like, I was even like over here, like holding my belly, watching it again. Oh
He's
my
out by
God.
a step and a half. I don't get it. It's not even close.
Not even close.
And also,
not even close.
When this is before instant replay and stuff like that, you got to err on the side of out. If it's bang, bang, err on the side of it being out. This wasn't even close to being bang, bang play at first base. He was clearly out, and he was called safe. And the next day, Jim Joyce and Armando Galarraga brought out the lineup, or Armando Galarraga brought out the lineup card to home plate and put his arm around Jim Joyce. He cried. Jim Joyce was in tears. He felt so bad after the game. He was getting, this is awful, but he was getting death threats.
Yeah.
And down in the locker room, Armando Galarraga went over to talk to him in the tunnel, and they just hugged, and he said, "I'm sorry," as he was crying. It's a really, really awful situation. But
now we have instant replay. And
that was the craziest ending to a perfect game ever.
That's fair. Okay, one more Overreaction Monday. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
2 teams from the NL Central will make the playoffs. Is this an overreaction?
Well, we're guaranteed one. We'll start there. There's got to be one. It's looking more and more as the season goes along like it's going to be the Brewers. The Brewers are playing great, and the team that I really believed in this year to be that team was the Cardinals. They're not playing good at all. So do I think the Cardinals, as of right now, can get into the playoffs? No, I do not. And that's because they're not playing great. There are 2 other teams in this division, Alex, that need to be talked about for a different reason. Let's start with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Raise the Jolly Roger 7 times in a row.
Red hot.
They have won 7 games in a row entering Monday. They are 16-7. Their starting pitchers have a 2.15 ERA over the last 2 weeks, which is the best in baseball in that stretch. The Buccos are back. The black and gold. They're playing great. McCutchen is back. He's hitting 275. They have veterans on this team that have paired really nicely with the young guys on this team. Cabrian Hayes and an O'Neal Cruz, who it's heartbreaking, but he fractured his ankle and is out for a long time. I would love to see what he's doing on this team now, but it's the perfect storm of just a good story. It's fun to see the Pirates playing good baseball and to see PNC, that beautiful park with more fans there. So things are looking good there. Do I think the Pirates will make the playoffs this year? I do not.
Oh, okay.
But I would like for it to happen. I think it would be awesome. I want another blackout game in Pittsburgh. I need air to breathe. But I don't think I get it this year. But they are clearly heading in the right direction. I think Cabrian Hayes and O'Neal Cruz are the left side of the infield for the Pirates for a long, long time. And this is just me personally. Are the Pirates going to do the right thing and lock up their guys for a long, long time? Well, who knows? So the other team being the Chicago Cubs, who are off to a very good start as well, sitting at 12-9. Bellinger hitting 300. Is Bellinger back?
We said this. Sometimes you need to change the scenery. And we were hoping he was going to be back with a new team.
Is Belly back?
Belly's back.
I don't know.
I think
MVP Belly, I don't think we see that again. All-Star Belly, I think we're seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
I hope so. The guy's incredible. When he's going right, he's so much fun to watch. Cubbies are playing good baseball. And Alex, I feel like I say this every episode, and I've said it all year long, and I said it before the year. The Cubs are going to surprise some people, and they will be in contention until the last week of the year. And I think they had the best offseason of anybody in terms of making their team better. Alas, do I believe they are a playoff team this year? I'm going to say no.
Oh, so this is an overreaction.
The answer is this is an overreaction. I think we get one team out of the NL Central.
Okay.